What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more content for you guys today. We are going to look at a tier list regarding the players that we have brought in since Fabio Paratici has joined the club. We're going to also involve the players that we did sign this summer, as Fabio was still in an advisory role and still is in an advisory role. So we're going to go from the summer of, I think it's 2021 when Fabio joined, up until the present day, and we're going to sort these players into 4 tiers. Just before we get into the tiers, well, you see the tiers right now. It goes from star signing, squad signing, to one for the future, and no future here. But before we get into that, I want to let you know about our brand new website, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk, where you get all your latest blog posts and news regarding Tottenham Hotspur. But without further ado, let's get into the tier list. So we've got 23 players to sort, every single player that Fabio Paratici has had his hand in signing. And the first player we're going to look at is Fraser Forster. And I think Fraser's, look, he's done a great job since coming in, filled in well for Hugo Lloris last season, but unfortunately due to his age and his status in the squad, he has to go into no future here. So I do imagine by the end of this season, at the end of the season when his contract's up, that we won't be kind of taking that up to renew, so he has to go into no future here. Next up is Rodrigo Bentancur, and I think he has to go straight into star signing. What he's shown on the pitch for Tottenham Hotspur since arriving has been nothing short of spectacular. There is a caveat in there because he is returning from an ACL injury, and we don't know how he's going to return. You don't know how long it's going to take him to get back to full. There's one thing getting back to full fitness, but we don't know how long it's going to take him to get back to his fine form that he was in before the injury, where he was probably our best player. But for now, he has to go into star signing for what he has shown in a Spurs shirt so far. So Bentancur, you go into star signing, my friend. The next up is Bryan Gil Messi. Can't put him in star signing. I'm torn between squad signing and one for the future. When we first signed him, I probably would put him in one for the future. But when you're looking at the options now, with Ivan Perisic done his ACL, or the injury that he had, he's out for the rest of the season. And I think from now until the end of the season, if we don't beef up that area in January, he probably will be a squad signing. So I think I'll put him in squad signing, Bryan Gil, because I would like to see him get some minutes this season, and I really believe in the qualities that he does have, and I think he'll fit in the Ange Postecoglou system down to a T. So I'd like to see him be a squad player this season. I think he will be once he fully recovers from that injury. Next up is Vicario. This is an interesting one because I was like a bit against this signing when we looked at David Raya and he was our first option, but since coming in, I've been so impressed with what I've seen from Vicario, and I think he's been one of, if not the best goalkeeper in the league so far this season, up there with Alisson. So I'm going to put him straight into star signing. I've been so impressed with what he's shown as a goalkeeper. So I think he's the best goalkeeper we've signed since Hugo Lloris by a mile. So he has to go into star signing. Next up is Yves Bissouma. And last time we did this tier list 5 months ago, we actually put him in squad signing, but from what he's shown at the start of this season, he has to go into star signing. I think what Spurs do, I think he's absolutely imperative to in that number 6, so press resistant. And I think without Bissouma, I don't think we don't have the personnel to maybe deploy the Ange Postecoglou system, especially in that midfield in the middle of the park. So Bissouma has to go into star signing. Next up is Clement Lenglet, and obviously we didn't take up that option to sign him. He's at Aston Villa now, so he has to go into no future here, obviously. And I was very happy that we didn't take up the option to sign him, because I just wasn't impressed with him whatsoever last season. And you've seen with Mickey van de Ven coming in now, the defence have been completely reformed and it's much better for it. So Clement Lenglet, no future. And next up is Mickey van de Ven, and he goes straight into star signing. I think he's taken to the Premier League like a duck to water. Absolutely unbelievable signing. He complements Romero so well in that back four. So Mickey van de Ven goes straight into star signing, and I think he's been one of the players of the Premier League so far this season. Next up is Ivan Perisic, and look, he's done a good job here, Perisic, but I feel like with the injury that he does have now, with his contract coming to an end at the end of the season, I can't see us renewing that. I don't know if he's ever going to get back to his best. I personally feel like he has played his last game for Tottenham Hotspur now. So it's a bit unfortunate, because I would like to see him as maybe a squad player this season, because I think he's done really well when he has stepped in so far and helped us at the end of games to really, with that elite crossing ability that he has. But unfortunately, he has to go into no future here because of his age and the injury that he does have. And I feel like he will be moving on either in January or at the end of the season. So unfortunately, Ivan Perisic does have no future here. Next up is a very difficult one to assess, is Jed Spence. He came in under Antonio Conte. Antonio Conte made it very clear that he was a club signing. He hasn't really knuckled down in any of the loan spells that he has had so far in Rennes, and at Leeds so far he's had injuries follow him around. I was very excited when we signed Jed Spence, to be honest, but looking at it now, does he have a future here with the likes of Pedro Porro, Emerson, doing quite well with that right back spot? Is there a spot for him? He is very young, but there is rumours of attitude problems. So I would like to put him in one for the future, but I'm going to put him in no future here. I think Jed Spence, I don't know, it's a very hard one to judge, because like I said, he is young. He does have time on his side, but no manager seems to fancy him. So unfortunately, I am going to put him in no future here. Next up is Manor Solomon, our brand new signing, free transfer in the summer from Shakhtar Donetsk. I'm going to put him in squad signing. I think what he's shown so far this season is a bit of hot and cold, but I think that he does have key attributes that do fit in with an Ange Postecoglou system. You saw in his first start for Tottenham against Burnley in that 5-2 win, he was one of the best players on the day, getting 2 assists. I think he's got supreme dribbling ability. I would like to see him improve his maybe final product, but he's, again, like Jed Spence, he does have time on his side, and I think what he has shown is a willingness to work and good attributes. So I think he is definitely going to be a squad signing, albeit that he is injured for the next 3 to 4 months, which is a massive kick in the teeth to the Spurs fans and also to himself, because he was just getting a run in the team. But he goes into solid signing, in my opinion. Next up is Alejo Veliz. He has had a few minutes off the bench after Ange Postecoglou said he will not be seen in the first half of the season, but maybe that's down to the work that he is showing on the training pitch. And I think that in the few minutes that he has impressed me, to be honest. I think that he shows that he's sharp on the ball, he's quick, he's got aerial ability, and I feel like he could be a really good option later on in games. But I don't think that we're going to see the best of Alejo Veliz probably until next season. It's going to be interesting to see what Richarlison does, but with Sonny taking that number 9 spot, I think he will be maybe only be a bit part role from the bench, especially in the early parts of this season. I think that's what we've seen so far. So I mean, he is a signing for the squad, but I don't think we're going to see the best of him until the future. So I am going to put Alejo Veliz in one for the future. So that's the first one that goes in one for the future. Next up, we're going to look at Arnaut Danjuma. Obviously, we didn't take up the option to sign him. He has joined Everton now. I don't think he was given the fair crack of the whip by Antonio Conte, only brought in the latter stages of games, which is a bit unfortunate for him, because I did think he had attributes that could maybe suit an Ange system, but he's at Everton now, so obviously he goes into no future here. So that's Arnaut Danjuma. Next up is Pedro Porro. And when he first joined, everyone was like, oh, we're not sure about this guy's defensive capabilities, and that came to fruition on the pitch. If you remember his first game against Leicester, he got absolutely destroyed down his side of the pitch. But last season, under Antonio, under Mason, under Stellini, I think he showed mad attributes going forward. He's absolutely one of the best attacking right backs in the Premier League, in my opinion, but those defensive flaws were there for everyone to see. Having said that, this season, at the start of the season, I think he has been one of the best right backs, I think, in the Premier League, that is. And I think that the defensive capabilities are growing game on game on game, and I don't think he's been a liability whatsoever defensively this season. And he's obviously got that attacking attributes as well. So I'm putting him in star signing. I don't think we could have hoped for anything more from what Pedro Porro has shown in the Spurs shirt this season. So it took him a while to get to grips with the Premier League, but now he's here. Now we've got Ange Postecoglou. Now we're kind of in a fluid system. I think he's been absolutely sensational, and you got to remember he was brought in as a wing back under Antonio Conte, and I think that was probably what he showed at Lisbon as well. But he's playing in a brand new system, an inverted right back role, and he's taken to it like a duck to water. And he's rightly so kept Emerson Royale out of the team. So Pedro Porro, you go into star signing. Next up is Cuti Romero, and he goes straight into star signing. He has to. World Cup winner with Argentina, vice captain now at Tottenham Hotspur, and I think he's really taken on that responsibility in the team as well. When you're looking at it, last year and the year before, he was making a lot of rash decisions, getting sent off, getting a lot of bookings, and giving away penalties as well was quite a regular occurrence. But I feel like he's stamped that out of his game now, and he's really taken on that leadership role in the team. He's really much better off for it, and he's towing that line between kind of being very aggressive and being too rash, and I think he's playing it to perfection at the moment. So I think he's going to be a leading centre-back in the Premier League for years to come, and a leading centre-back for Tottenham Hotspur for years to come. And like I mentioned before, that partnership of him and Mickey van der Ven, they complement each other so well, and it's so great to see Spurs finally kind of find the answers to that centre-back options and to find a partner for Cuti Romero as well. So Cuti Romero goes straight into star signing. Next up, we're going to look at Emerson Royale, and I think he's had a good time of it at Spurs, and I feel like he got a very bad rap from the Spurs fans when he first came here, with horrible songs about him saying can't defend, can't attack and all that. He's always kept that same mentality. He's backed himself. He seems to be like a very central figure in the Spurs dressing room as well, and he's got a good aura about him, and I feel like going forward, he's got a lot to work on, in my opinion, but I feel like he does a job for the team every time he's on that football pitch. He's very good defensively, and with Pedro Porro there, I think Emerson has to go into solid signing, and I think he has been a solid signing since joining us. He did take a while to get to grips with life in England and life in the Premier League, but I think once he did that, he's been a great servant for the club so far, so I think he has to go into solid signing. Next up is Richarlison. Now, this is going to be an interesting one, because you got to say, from what he's shown on a football pitch, this signing has to be comparable to the signings of Roberto Soldado, Vincent Janssen, big signings for big money that just haven't kind of reached the expectations of what we hoped for. He started off this season under Ange, where we thought he'll get a new lease of life as a number 9. He came out, spoke about those terrible problems that he's going through with mental health and everything. And I think since he's come out talking about those problems, he has been better off for it. But I still think that he's still a while away and quite far away to what we expected him to be for a £60 million signing. We sold Harry Kane, and he kind of was expected to be the answer to us selling Harry Kane, and he just hasn't done that, unfortunately. But I do think maybe in the last few games that he's played, maybe the Luton game aside, he has been a lot better. But I still expect more. I want to see more goal contributions from him. So he has to go into squad signing. I don't think he's got no future here, but I think that when you're looking at Richarlison, I still do back him, because I still think there's a player in there, but he has to turn it around quick, because if it comes to the end of the season and he still hasn't shown improvements and still hasn't getting those consistent goals that I know that he can get, then he probably will shift into no future here. But right now, as of this current day, he has to go into squad signing, and I think that's what he's showing at the moment. Next up is James Maddison, and he's come in. He's been the best player in the Premier League, in my opinion, so far. Absolutely sensational signing. I don't think anyone could have hoped for better from James Maddison. The leadership qualities that he's showing, what he's showing on the ball with 5 assists and 2 goals so far in 8 games. You're looking at his off-the-ball work as well, his tracking back, I think is unbelievable. The amount of times he wins the ball back, high up the pitch, dropping deep. I mean, every facet of his game has been absolutely sensational. So he has to go. If there was a tier above star signing, he would go in there, but right now he goes into star signing. He's been absolutely brilliant since joining, and it seems like his kind of attitude is completely infectious around the squad, and I think everyone has just been blown away from what he's shown in the Spurs shirt. So James Maddison goes straight into the top tier, which is star signing. Next up is Dejan Kulusevski. I think Dejan, when he first joined, he was absolutely brilliant. I think he was actually probably the best performing right winger in the league in those first 6 months when he first joined us from January till the end of the season, was a key component of us getting top 4 that year. Last season, I feel like his season was ravaged with injury. We didn't see enough goal contributions from him, nowhere near enough. He wasn't involved in games as well as we know he can be. But I think now under Ange, his game has improved. He's got 2 goals and no assists so far this season, albeit you can probably say that goal against Manchester United where he crossed it in the box, he probably should have got the assist for. But I feel like he's doing a really good job for the team, and I don't know if we'd be doing the same kind of work without him. I think his ball retention is second to none. His ball carrying ability is absolutely second to none in the Premier League. I would just like to see him add more goals and assists to his game, because I know he's got it in his locker for sure to do that. So I think I'm going to put him in star signing because I really believe and back his abilities, and he has shown it for us in a Spurs shirt before. So I believe he will get back to those levels, and I think we are seeing him get back to those levels, albeit fairly slowly. So Dejan Kulusevski goes into star signing for me. Next up, we're going to look at Brennan Johnson, brand new signing from Nottingham Forest. Unfortunately, after only 1 start, he got that injury and we haven't seen him since. I think he has looked really good in the cameos and the start that he did have. But it's really tough for me to put him in star signing so early on, just because we just don't know where he fits in just yet, because predominantly he does play on the right, which is Dejan Kulusevski's role. So far, we've seen him deployed on the left-hand side because there's a spot for him, especially now with Manor Solomon injured. You expect him to take that spot and make it his own. But I think with the limited game time that we have seen him so far in a Spurs shirt, I am just going to put him in squad signing as for now. But hopefully the next time we do a tier list like this, we can put him in star signing. But I do very much believe in Brennan Johnson's ability. So I think squad signing is probably fair for him right now. Next up is Pierluigi Gallini. We actually were quite excited when we signed him. Don Fabio said that he's a very good goalkeeper, but we just never seem to see that in a Spurs shirt. So unfortunately, he is at Napoli now, not getting many minutes with the goalkeeping options that they have there. So he goes into no future, obviously, because he's not at the club anymore. Next up, we're going to look at Pape Matar. I love Pape. I think he's done such a good job for the team ever since breaking into the team from that Milan game last year in the Champions League, which I thought he was the best player on the pitch that day. And he was coming up against top midfielders like Sandro Tonali on the day, and I felt like he won the midfield battle pretty much on his own with Ollie Skip that day. He never seemed to get the minutes on the pitch after that, which I found really weird. But since he's got that first start this season, I think second game of the season at Manchester United, we just haven't looked back. I think he's kept Ollie Skip out of the team, and quite rightly so. He's been a key component to what Ange Postecoglou has been doing. He never stops running. He's got so much energy. His kind of happy attitude is so infectious in the team. And at the ripe age of 20, I don't know where this guy could go in the game. I think his opportunities are endless, to be honest. And I think from what he's showing right now, yes, you probably assume that when Rodrigo Bentancur comes back, I think he'll have a tough time regaining that spot, but I think he will at some point. But right now, for what he's shown in the Spurs shirt, I'm actually going to put him in star signing because I think he's been that good. So Pape Matar goes into star signing. Next up is Destiny Udogie, and he's going straight into star signing. He's been our best left back signing since the Danny Rose, and I feel like he's got a higher ceiling than Danny Rose as well. He's been one of the best left backs in the Premier League, and that goes to show. I mean, he's never played a right back role before. He's always been at wing back in Italy for Udinese. He's first of all just got his first Italy call up, which is a testament to how good he's been. He's playing this inverted role, a bit similar like Pedro Porro. You know, he's never played that that left inverted role before, and he's come into the Premier League. He's taken to it like a complete duck to water, and we haven't looked back. And I feel like if Destiny does get injured, we're massively lacking on that left-hand side. So he's one of those players that if he does get injured, we're going to be in massive trouble. So he has to go into star signing for me. And last but not least, we're going to look at Ashley Phillips. We haven't seen him get any minutes yet. So obviously he has to go into one for the future, Ashley Phillips. I think that when you're seeing him on the pitch and in the training, he doesn't look out of place in terms of physicality. When you're looking at an 18-year-old player, you automatically assume that they will be maybe not physically ready to join the group, but he looks like a match for anyone physically, to be honest. And I think that once he gets his chances in the team, I would like to see him get more chances than Eric Dyer this year, to be honest. But I was watching the one game that he did play for the under-21s, and he just looked much bigger and better than anyone on that pitch that day. And you got to remember, there were a lot of players older than him on the pitch that day. You know, he's 18 years of age and he was playing in the under-21s, and he looked physically bigger than any one of them. And the highlights I have seen from him playing for Blackburn first team and the under-21s, he looked absolutely brilliant and looked tailor-made for an Ange Postecoglou system. So he's one that I'm really, really, really excited about. But seeing as we haven't seen him in a Spurs shirt as of yet, he has to go in one for the future. So that brings an end to the tier list. Let's run through the players with you guys one more time. So in no future here, we've got Fraser Forster, we've got Clement Longley, we've got Ivan Perisic, we've got Jed Spence, we've got Arnaut Danjuma, and we've got Pierluigi Gallini. In one for the future, we've got Alejo Veliz and Ashley Phillips. In squad signing, we've got Brian Hill, Manuel Solomon, Emerson Royale, Richarlison, and Brennan Johnson. And then star signing, we've got Rodrigo Bentancur, Vicario, Bissouma, Mickey van der Ven, Pedro Porro, Cuti Romero, James Maddison, Dejan Kulusevski, Pape Matasar, and Destiny Udogie. So I think just looking at that tier list is just a testament to the unbelievable work that Fabio Paratici has done since joining the club. I think when you're looking at the games that Spurs have played this season, especially the last game that we played against Luton, 10 out of the 11 players on that pitch were brought in whilst Fabio was at the club. So we all talked about this painful rebuild and the rebuild that we had to do over the last couple of years, and it's safe to say that that is well and truly underway and nearly complete, to be honest. I think like the first 11 is very much near to completion. I think you just need to do work around the squad now and beef up the bench, because we still do have players on there that we need to move on and stuff like that. But in terms of the rebuild, you've got to take your hats off to Fabio Paratici, because I think this is the best rebuild I've seen probably in my life of supporting Spurs. I think it's been brilliant. So there you have it. That is your tier list. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding these players and the sections that they should go in. Did I get any wrong? Let me know your tiers in the comment section below. Do check out our brand new website, WATTV.co.uk. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.